Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the Football Pyramid Talk podcast. Joined with George and Simon once again.
Hello.
How are we, chaps?
Good. Buzzing for
Yeah.
You sound buzzing, Dad. Well, I know you love the FA Cup. We've got plenty of FA Cup action to talk about, and Premier League too. Should we start off with the Brighton game as we were there?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's get straight into it. George, obviously you weren't there, as we know, because you were in Manchester. But we went, Dad, 3-0. Actually made it easy for once, which was uncharacteristic, shall we say, but it was a bit of a walk in the park. I actually felt like it was quite weird, really. There was no anxiety or stress. It was just nice.
Yeah, it was like watching one of those games back in the Championship when you just knew that you were watching one really good team against one really very ordinary team. And it's just a case of going through the motion almost. But I was a bit surprised after the match. Daniel Parker, he came on Match of the Day and said we were beaten by the better team, and he was quite defeatist, really. He said Brighton won all the duels. Brighton was set up better than we were. They wanted it more than us, and he sounded quite deflated. But yeah, Brighton were very ruthless, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, he's not wrong with his comments, though. Because they really didn't offer much at all. I mean, they had a couple chances late on, and Georgie mentioned one in the first half, but I can't even remember that.
Longstaff blazed it over the bar, but
Yeah.
half a chance, really.
Can't even remember it. But yeah, good for Brighton to get a clean sheet. First of the season, first in 9 months as well. And the Amex is becoming a bit of a fortress. Hertz has only ever lost 3 games there. One of which was Villa last season. The other two, I can't even remember.
Palace at home.
Palace at home, which isn't a good one to lose.
Oh, no, we drew to Arsenal. I don't know, I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, but regardless, really good stat, and it's becoming a bit of a fortress. It's a good win, really. Some good goals, simple goals, but I think we look pretty promising. But probably out of the games on the weekend, it was one of the more boring ones. It was last on Match of the Day, so
was it?
maybe that says it as well. But we'll move on. Probably one of the more enjoyable games actually was West Ham getting their first win under Nuno. Massive win for them, really, as Newcastle continue to struggle away from home. What do you think about it, George?
Yeah, it's a good win for West Ham, after all the circumstances going on there after such a tragic start to the season, and their home form's been horrendous. I don't think many fans would have gone into that game expecting a result like that. So a very, very good result. But away form continues for Newcastle, yet to win away from home in 5 games this season in the Prem. 3 draws, 2 losses. So very poor away record, which is sort of a reason why, part of the reason they've started off the season below their standards. But man of the match for me, Freddie Potts in the midfield. He made his debut.
Yeah.
He looked absolutely incredible, really good, slotted in. Looks like he'd played about 30 games before that in the season. It was just so comfortable on the ball. Felt really just settled into the side as soon as he got going. So really good performance in his first Premier League start. It wasn't even his first. He had a few bench appearances, so he was in and around the squad. But
Yeah.
get man of the match on your first start for the club, very, very good from him. But I thought they looked a lot better defensively as well, West Ham, which they haven't the whole of this season. They've looked really poor defensively, even though I don't know if you saw the Newcastle's goal, that Diouf defending for their goals. Awful, just letting cut inside, and he's miles off him. But
Yeah, I can't really remember the defending because it all happened really quickly after Bowen hit the post. It was an unlucky goal to concede, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Straight after hitting the post, and they hit you on the counter attack like that. But that's what good teams do. But they got punished on the day, Newcastle, by the better team, in my opinion.
It just goes to show you the quality of the coach in there with Nuno. Now he's had a chance to have several weeks with them. He's obviously moulded them into a much tighter unit. What I liked about Nuno was that he promoted lots of people from the academy in terms of coaching into the first team squad. He didn't bring loads of people with him. Most of those people, in fact, I think it might be all of them, are people that were in the academy at West Ham in terms of coaching staff. And Freddie Potts' dad was one of them. And I was listening to the radio, and the guy that on the radio was saying that Freddie Potts keeps looking over at his dad every time he does something wrong.
Because he knows he's going to be scolding him.
Which made me laugh, but he obviously didn't do too much wrong, because as you say, George, he played really well. Yeah,
He was unlucky not to get a goal as well. It was just a toenail that actually disallowed the goal because he had it in the back of the net, didn't he?
as you say,
I was impressed with
West
it.
Ham looks much brighter for West Ham now. And we've got, with Bowen there up front and with Nuno organising things, I think they should be okay.
Yeah, they were much the better side, 100%. They look good. They look really composed on the ball, and they were actually playing some really nice football. And it looked a little bit different to Nuno's side at Forest, where they were kind of very much so a counter-attacking team. They did keep the ball nicely and have some good ball players. It wasn't just, lump it long, as much as I was kind of slandering them after they battered us 7-0 last season at times. But they did play nice football, but it seemed like West Ham even more so, knocking it about, very comfortable, just keeping it, recycling the ball, and they just won all over the park that game. What do you think the problem is with Newcastle's away form? I was listening to the rest of this football, and Alan Shearer was saying they've had to adapt slightly with obviously Isak going and Walter coming in, so different style of strikers. He's had to adapt quite a bit, Eddie Howe, but he did say you can't. One thing that you can't excuse and go without is work rate and running on the pitch. And he says that, and to be fair, it's true because they were getting run ragged in the game, that they weren't really working hard enough. Would you put it down to that or anything else?
I mean, they were outfought in that game, really, which would surprise you after how negative West Ham had been in the past couple of weeks. And that sort of shows you that must sort of cement a concern about their away form if they're losing to a West Ham side that hadn't won a game at home all season. Very toxic environment there all around, really, wasn't it, before that game? And then going to get outperformed by them 3-1 sort of just confirms that their away form's something that's going to be concerning them massively at the minute in time, like you say, Sterling. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's Champions League football because you can't really make that as an excuse because they did that 2 seasons ago and they were completely fine. So
They didn't have Champions League football last Tuesday anyway.
yeah, exactly. So there's no real excuse in terms of fitness levels, is there? So yeah, real concern for Eddie Howe on his side.
Yeah, they did play in the League Cup, to be fair to him. But what do you reckon, Dad?
I'm a bit surprised you say that. I mean, Alan Shearer knows more about football than I do, but I don't think Walter and Isak are that different, are they? I mean, they're both tall, gangly sort of strikers. I mean,
I just think in terms of...
Go on.
Just in terms of differences in kind of, you're right, they're tall and gangly, but style-wise, Isak will go in behind, he'll come out onto the wing, and he's a lot quicker. Whereas Walter you want to get crosses into the box more. I know Isak's good at that. You want to get it to his feet, have him holding off,
There's much more of a
holding it
target
up,
man, isn't he?
yeah, and playing off him. So that's where they differ.
Yeah, I could get that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is with Newcastle. I mean, the Champions League is going to be a distraction for them.
Yeah, and they're still in the League Cup. So.
You do get to the stage where you get found out as a team, So there's a lot of people would have analysed the way they play away from home and found holes in their tactical setup. So he might need to go back to the drawing board. But he's good enough coach to do that, Eddie Howe. They'll turn that around.
Yeah.
sooner rather than later, I would have thought.
No doubt about that. And then moving on, the managerial departures keep coming. Every time George sends me one, I just send the DJ Khaled gif. Another one. Another one. And it's about 10 a week at this rate. Vitor, Pereira. Yeah, just as we were speaking last week about he will get sacked, but he shouldn't, based on they're not going to get a better manager. He's out the door, and there's no real surprise, is it?
Oh yeah, not surprised really. I mean, Fulham hadn't had the greatest start of the season for their performance last season, and they got absolutely battered 3-0 away from home. Red card wouldn't have helped, but silly defending. I watched from the highlights.
The defending was woeful. They were slating them on Match of the Day, weren't they?
absolutely dreadful defending. Was it Mosquera that got sent off? One of the centre halves got sent.
Because that Agbadu, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Who I actually quite like. I said that at the beginning of one of the podcasts.
I like him. He's a good player. I just thought it might have been that Mosquera because he's so clumsy, that Wolves centre half. But clearly, Agbadu, person that just sort of manhandled him to the floor. Really, I don't know what he was thinking there, but Fulham deserved the win on the day, and I think it was the right decision to sack him. I mean, he hasn't won a game in the Premier, which is a real concern. Only team not to win a game so far, bottom of the league. They've conceded 22 goals, most in the league. So, it was bound to happen, wasn't it? But
yeah,
that last episode, I don't know really who to replace him with, because Gary O'Neill was in line to replace him, and then he rejected going back there. So I really don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, well, just say because the dog's going mental, so anyone listening is because it's fireworks night when we're recording it, so dog shit scared, so that's why he's barking. But yeah, I mean, Frank Lampard's never going to go there. Rob Edwards, doubt it as well. Why would he leave Middlesbrough?
They're both
Gary O'Neill.
They're both going to just move sideways if they go to Wolves, and
there's no point.
There's every chance that Middlesbrough and Coventry come up and Wolves go down anyway.
Yeah, there's absolutely no point.
An interesting stat in the paper yesterday said that 46 of the league clubs have changed their manager since the start of last season.
Some of those
40% or 46?
Yeah, 46 have changed their manager, and some of those clubs have changed the manager more than once.
That's mental.
That's crazy.
You can't have any stability with that sort of churn, can you?
No.
Ridiculous, that. I mean, one example I have of, if Rob Edwards or Frank Lampard were to go up to Wolves was Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe last season when he moved to Luton in the Championship. Wycombe were high flying, unbeaten run, bound to get promoted to the Championship. But he left Wycombe to go to Luton. Tragic place Luton were in, bottom of the league or something like that, in the relegation zone. And he got relegated with them. It's just like they're making steps backwards, if you get what I mean, if they go to challenge themselves after doing... I don't know why you would leave a project that's going so well, which I really hope that neither Frank Lampard or Rob Edwards do, because they've both started off the season so well.
Yeah, even if you just look at it from a human aspect of you want to enjoy your job, don't you? And you want to work at a good place. And, if you're Frank Lampard at Coventry or Rob Edwards at Middlesbrough, and you're doing so well and, fans love you, you're winning games, why would you want to go to Wolves? Why would you want to go there? So it's going to be tough, as we said last week, for them to get anyone in. Yeah, I mean, that defending...
In though, because honestly, I'd be very interested to see who they pluck out. Because
I'm interested to see when somebody does come in, if they're able to turn it around. Because we're saying about Vitor Pereira how he's really good, and they're not going to find anyone better. But if they bring someone in and they start winning games, then maybe he wasn't as good as we thought he was. But to be honest, I don't think they've got enough all round the pitch. I do like their midfield. I think they got some good players in midfield, but the defending was woeful. I mean, I think all 3 goals were just absolutely criminal defending, especially the first 2.
First 2 were tragic, yeah.
And Sam Johnson in goal, he wasn't very good either, to be honest. I think he could have done better.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought
Definitely.
whoever goes in there, the first thing they're going to do is put that Sarr back in goal.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with him. He's a decent keeper. We've seen him down the Amex keep Wolves in games with some really good moves. So, yeah.
Surprising about Johnson, though, because he was in the England squad not too long ago, I remember.
West Brom.
Yeah. So, weird one, but we'll move on. I wanted to speak about Palace Brentford. We've not spoken loads about Brentford this season.
Yeah.
And they're another case of the away blues, I suppose, if you want to call it. Away from home, they have lost 4 out of 5 in the league. They've won a couple in the League Cup, but we're not going to speak about that. Just in the league, they lost 4 out of 5 away games under Keith Andrews. And then their home form is 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, which came against City. So it's a bit of a weird one. They lost 2-0 away at Palace. Obviously, Palace doing really well. Mateta with another goal gets him up to 6. We'll talk about him a bit more in a second. But yeah, I was kind of thinking, I'm not really sure what the reason is for Brentford again doing so poorly away from home. You know, they've got good away from home. They've got good home form. So it was a bit of a weird one. I was looking at their team, maybe they're lacking a bit of pace across the pitch. Back line don't seem very quick. Damsgaard, we know, basically runs through mud every game. He's like a Pascal Gross. Brilliant player, but just slow. Hendo, Yarmoluik. So I thought potentially that, you know, when they're not controlling the games as much away from home. You know, traditionally when you're away, you're going to have less possession. So I thought potentially that and getting overrun on the counter or just not being able to keep up with teams. But I don't know. What do you think it could be?
I think the thing with Brentford is that everything runs through Damsgaard, doesn't it? It just baffles me that teams allow him to play the way he does, because if Damsgaard's not on the ball dictating things for Brentford, they struggle. You know, Keith Andrews is an inexperienced coach at this level. I just think he got out coached on the day. I don't think there's necessarily a pattern with Brentford losing away from home. I just think he got out coached, and you know, Glasner's looking at that team, like you say, there's a lack of pace there. That's one thing that Palace have got is pace, especially in the full-back positions, and they were stretching Brentford all the time. And then, as long as you can neutralise Damsgaard, you've solved most of the problems. It's just a case of taking your chances, I think.
Yeah, maybe he's got to adapt a little bit more, as you say, he's inexperienced at this level. So how you got to play away from home, and you know, be a bit more shrewd with it.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford have some good results, as you say, but like you've got on your stats here, they've all been at home so far. So, you know, away form, I think, was it their away form that was really good last year and their home form was dreadful? Was it the other way around?
I think they've always been really good at the G-Tech.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I know they picked up some good results away from home last season.
Yeah, that's what I
Not to
mean.
get mistaken.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's just a bit, like Simon said, a bit of inexperience from Keith Andrews, which you would expect. You know, going from a set piece coach to a manager inside about 6 months, you know, you're going to have them gains where top quality managers like Oliver Glasner, you know, a Europa League winner, FA Cup winner, it hurts me to say, but he is. So he's got that experience there, hasn't he? So Keith Andrews, like Simon said, could have just been out tactically masterclass on the day, because Palace play some really good football. There's no doubt about that. We see that on Match of the Day. So, yeah, I think it's just a blip. But like the same with Newcastle, we're concerned about the away form again for Brentford.
Yeah, as I said about Mateta, I wanted to go back to him. I mean, 6 goals in the league, that's joint second with a few players, Welbeck, one of them, that Igor Thiago. Yeah, Semenyo, Igor Thiago for Brentford, I believe. But yeah, definitely Semenyo and Welbeck. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, or even 3, because he's been there quite a while, but good few seasons ago, I was thinking, yeah, this bloke's rubbish. And I actually laughed when he came on. I remember Brighton were playing Palace in lockdown, and I laughed when he came on. And I think he might have scored the winner. I know it was Benteke. But I laughed definitely when Mateta came on, and I thought he might have started the game. I just thought he's shit. I just thought he's just like a lump, not good on the ball, can't finish. But I mean, I was going to present the question to you. Have you been surprised, you guys, about how well he's done? Because I know I definitely have. Because he's even getting called up for the French national team now. So I never thought he'd reach those heights.
Yeah, I mean, massive surprise for me. He's massively improved since I think it was 2 seasons ago when I think it all kick-started when he had Eze and Elise behind him in that season where sort of Oliver Glasner came and then they started really picking up some form. And ever since then, he just hasn't stopped scoring. So fair play to him. 6 goals this season already. And, he'll definitely reach double figures this season, no doubt about that. He's a top quality striker. And I wouldn't be surprised, to be fair. It wouldn't surprise me if he got a move somewhere in the summer, just because of how well he's doing. It wouldn't surprise me if he stayed, but it wouldn't surprise me if he went as well, if you get what I mean. So, yeah, massive surprise for myself, and I think for both of you as well.
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to Glasner again, doesn't it? I think the quality of his coaching. That's why he's so in demand at elite clubs, because they look at people like Mateta and think, well, he's not just suddenly sprung into life as an elite Premier League centre forward. It's been coached into him by someone, and like you said, George, it all started when Glasner took over, really. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It does help when you've got, as you said, again, George, Elise and Eze behind. But he's still doing it without him now. So, yeah, credit where credit's due. We'll move on. Liverpool back to winning ways, 2-0 against Villa. And it's pretty much the same team that they had throughout last season, wasn't it, Dad? That won them the league.
Yeah, it looked a bit more like Liverpool as well when they were playing, but I know they picked this up on Match of the Day, but Villa were really shocking in terms of their tactics, because everybody's been talking about the way to get around Liverpool's press is to go long, and Villa just didn't do that for the entire game, and they tried to play out from the back. Both goals were results of trying to play out from the back. Martinez passing it straight to Liverpool, and then Gravenberch, beneficiary of the press, winning the ball back on the edge of the box. But they're such a narrow side, Villa. It just baffles me why they would play the way they did. Very narrow, trying to play through Liverpool like that when the teams have had success going long and getting out wide against them. But we've said this before about Villa. They're slow in the middle of the park, and they haven't got a lot of width there. So, Unai Emery's a good enough coach to be able to solve these problems, but I don't think he's got the personnel there at the moment. And it doesn't help with Ollie Watkins, just in no form whatsoever.
Yeah.
His place
I've said before, I haven't. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say his place in the England squad must be under threat from Welbeck now. I mean, I know Welbeck's 35 in a few days' time, but you can't ignore the form those two strikers are in. But yeah, it was good to see Liverpool getting back to their old ways, really, and I think you're right, Sterling. So much that that they did look, because they were more familiar with playing with each other. They did look more adaptable, because obviously 4-3-3 is what they started with, but in possession, out of possession, changing formation quite a lot. But they were much more looked better at doing that, because there was much more familiarity with the setup and the players involved.
Yeah, it was that cover with McAllister back, Gravenberch back, and then obviously Soboslai. I think those three in midfield complement each other really well because they can all go forward and contribute, but they're also really hard workers and can contribute defensively as well. So it gives that cover that you need. So yeah, I think that probably was the main reason. And I expressed problems with Villa's formation before. We spoke about it, it's like a 4-2-3-1 with three cams almost, and they kind of just place really narrow and then maybe look to get the fullbacks up, but they don't seem to do that very well. You look at how Palace's wing backs get forward.
Yeah.
Don't see them getting forward all the time. I know Matty Cash got a couple of goals, but yeah, without having to repeat what I spoke about before, I do just think, yeah, absolutely played into Liverpool's hands. But Liverpool were good. The first goal was just a walk in the park, and then the second one was a deflection. But they were good.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I watched the second half of that game, and Villa looked so sluggish going forward. Like last, what was it, 20 minutes or so? Just they had lots of possession where they were going at the Liverpool back line, trying to get the goal back. And Sancho, fair play to him, was trying to run at the fullback, trying to make something when he came on, but when he did, there was just nothing there for him to execute with, if you get what I mean. And then
Yeah.
he's just got nothing to play to. It looks really poor from an attacking point of view, especially from Villa. It just looked like no one really clicked with each other. I don't know if you agree with that. They just no passing patterns. Looks like they were
Yeah.
full.
It wasn't their day, and they had that new guy up front. I can't
Yeah,
really remember what his name is,
yes.
but yeah, he didn't do anything. So it's a
Brighton were
weird one, huh?
Brighton were linked with him.
Yeah, well, he's not really done anything, has he? It was a weird one from Villa. I just think it wasn't their day. Didn't really get going. But saying that, they could have been in front. They hit the post, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
With Morgan Rogers. So it's just one of those days.
Mamadashvili did play well for the first 30 minutes. He made a couple of good saves, but Liverpool sort of had the rub of the green in that period as well when they hit the post, Villa. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those days, I think, for Villa. They didn't really get going. But yeah, it would definitely be just a quick caveat on Welbeck and Watkins. I imagine they'll both get selected because it's next week, I think.
Right.
Yeah, for Friday, great. So we'll see soon enough. I reckon they'll both get picked, and then on the plane, you'd still want to take Watkins, even though he's not scoring. He just offers something a little bit different, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Against Netherlands in the semi-final.
Exactly, absolute limbs in the front room.
It was.
We'll move on finally to Sunderland Everton 1-0. Iliman and Jai getting a goal. I've not actually watched the highlights of this game, so you have to tell me about it, but I heard it was really good. And his rise is actually really, it's just beautiful to see. He was playing Sunday League, Dad, not too long ago for this, well, it's a club, but it's an Instagram page called Rising Ballers, and they basically give a platform for young academy released players or just young ballers to come and play who aren't at academies or, as I said, have been released. And he was playing for them in about, I don't know, 2019, I think I saw earlier. And he was just doing incredible stuff for them. And that's actually where Everton picked him up. him up from. So it's been quite a rise for him, and he's one of my favourite players to watch, to be honest. I think he's brilliant, the way he just takes on players, runs with confidence, skills. Yeah, he's a brilliant player.
Yeah, it was a great solo goal that he scored to get Everton in front. But I wanted to talk about this game really because I've been quietly impressed with Regis Lebris, the Sunderland manager, because watching the highlights and reading reports afterwards, they were a bit surprised, I think, by the way Everton was set up, because though on paper it was 3-3-4, it changed constantly during the match. Because Moyes is such an old hand now, he really did rotate things around, and I think Sunderland were on the back foot for a lot of that first half, but second half he changed it around and pushed his fullbacks, because he basically set up with five at the back to start off with, but he had two fullbacks playing in midfield, and he just changed it and pushed them right up onto the Everton fullbacks, and they just won control of the midfield from there. And Xhaka scored a deflected goal early on, which reflected that sort of midfield supremacy that it had, and they came really close to winning the game and didn't look like they were going to concede anything to Everton until right at the end, when I think Everton had a little bit of a half chance. But it's good to see Regis Lebris doing so well there. And we spoke on Saturday at the Albion game about recruitment strategy, didn't we, of the teams that have come up. And I read somewhere that Sunderland's main criteria when they were signing players was that they needed players that were big, powerful footballers. They weren't interested in signing it didn't matter to them whether they played in the Premiership, but they needed to be physically big players. That's what they wanted, and I think that strategy is paying dividends for them. What, are they fourth now or something, aren't they?
Yeah, fourth.
Something silly like that. Yeah, they're doing really well.
Unbelievable. Yeah, really good.
It's interesting about the tactics that he deployed really in that game, and he's really proven himself to be quite the manager at this level. And if they can keep it up, then it'll be probably the biggest shock since Leicester winning the league if they manage to stay where they are. Sunderland getting Champions League first season back. Can't really say there's been anything more shocking other than Leicester in recent years. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll move on to Championship. Started on Friday night, Halloween. We were watching. We weren't doing any trick or treating. We weren't partying. We weren't dressed up, but we were sat on our asses watching Wrexham Coventry, weren't we, Dad? And it was a good game.
Yeah, it was a really good game. Kiefer Moore got a hat trick. I was quite surprised by that, but
yeah, you were slagging him off before that.
He's a one-trick pony, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's not. He is what he is.
Yeah.
He scored the same goal over and over again.
Yeah, he did.
And they were similar goals, actually. The first one was a nice finish, but from a cross in, and you're right, he's that type of player. The second one was rubbish defending, wasn't it? Cross in, and then, I don't know
That was awful. The guy didn't even
I don't know what that defender was doing. He
got
didn't
off his
jump,
feet.
and he's got Kiefer Moore 2 steps behind him with a cross coming in. He's not looking. He's not jumped. He's not touched tight. It was really shocking defending. He had way too much space for somebody that good in the air and that tall.
Yeah.
And then it was a nice finish for the third as well.
I like
massive win.
I quite like watching Coventry. I watched the second half of their game last night, and that Japanese midfield player Sakamoto, I really like him. Really skillful. He had an outrageous bit of skill. Was it last night or the Wrexham game where he backheeled it through a player's legs?
Yeah, it was the Wrexham.
Yeah.
It was the Wrexham game. He was playing unbelievable in that game.
He was
scored as well.
Yeah, he got a goal, which was late on. They were 3-1 down. He got a goal. It was a good finish. And he actually set up, I believe it was Haji Wright that scored the first for Coventry. He set it up with a delicious ball, just whipped it in, didn't he, with his, right foot. And it was on a sixpence for him. And it was a good finish, to be fair. Watched it come down. But it was all about the ball. The swaz on it, I think it might have even been left foot. but the whip on it, sorry, it
Yeah,
was beautiful. It was
watching.
absolutely beautiful.
It was Mason Clark that scored. He went straight over to Sakamoto as soon as he scored. He didn't really take any of the headlights. He was like, "That was fucking unbelievable, mate."
Yeah,
That because
just
it was unbelievable.
whipped it, and it had so much curl on it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, really.
And yeah, he was really impressive. That back heel was nice. But ultimately, Coventry lost the game, their first loss of the season. But hard place to go, really. Wrexham, their fans get behind them. They got some good players. What's that name? What's that right back's name? Afi? No, it's a Kabore at
Oh,
right back for Wrexham. I really like. I don't
he,
know if I mentioned him a couple weeks ago.
he was really good, wasn't he? Especially in the second half. He just didn't really think backwards. He just bombed forward, didn't he? Really positive thinking in the game.
Yeah, every time I've watched him play, I've been impressed with him. I think he's a good player, and he's on loan from City, isn't he?
Yeah,
But I looked. I think he's about 26 now, so I imagine
yeah, I know. In and
he'll
around
be.
the first team, yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say,
Fourth
I
goal,
don't really think he'll be in and amongst the first team. I think he'll be chipping off,
yeah,
to be honest, because he's not going to want to go back there and sit on the reserves, is he? And you don't see him getting ahead of Nico O'Reilly or Rico Lewis, who they usually play there. So,
yeah,
yeah, but yeah, it was a good win for Wrexham. Really, really big win.
yeah. I'll give credit to Josh Windass as well because he got all 3 assists for Keeper Moore's goals, and he said in the interview after both of them there in the post-match interview they played with each other before, and what formation they play at the minute, I think it's a 3-4-2-1 or something like that. But in possession, they're what Brighton is 4-4-1-1. And what's so good about that is if you have two players that really know each other's game in that sort of shape, it can really, really benefit a team like that. And you can obviously see from that, 3 assists, 3 goals, contributed for every single goal, both of them. It just shows a really good partnership which could be unfolding with Wrexham because they're two really good championship players. They have been for years. Josh Windass
Yeah,
more. So looks like a really good
experienced.
partnership that could be unfolding there.
Who were they playing together with last then?
Huh?
You said they played together at a previous club. Who?
I don't know. That's what they said in their interview. I was
Okay.
watching
I just
it.
wondered who it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, very experienced. And to be fair, there were some nice balls that he put in
Yeah.
and slipped him through with in that game. So yeah, definitely a shout out to him. Move on. Another one, another sacking with Will Steele now departing, which is really quite shocking actually because we all tipped Will Steele as
Yeah.
a really good manager and somebody who was going to really do well in the Championship. We were excited that he had come to England, and 5 months later, he's got the boot. So, yeah, Dad, what were your thoughts on this? You kind of made a few notes, had a look at it yourself.
Yeah, I just think it's an absolute bonkers decision. I really do. He's one of the most highly regarded young managers in Europe, let alone amongst English coaches. And the fact that they brought him in and got rid of him after 5 months it's madness. I just don't get it. I mean, I understand the fans. The fans are frustrated. They got beat at home by Preston. I think they've only won 2 home games in a Canada year. But them
Yeah.
Wolves are going through exactly the same process. They both sacked O'Neill and Russell Martin within days of each other. And they'll both sack the people that took over from them, and they're both going back. That Wolves have been. Gary O'Neill apparently had almost put pen to paper. He'd got his backroom staff all lined up, and he just had second thoughts right at the last minute. And I read today that Southampton are talking to Russell Martin about going back there. I mean, I beggar's
Yeah.
belief. He getting beat at home by Preston is one of those games. I think Will Steele said after the game, against a team like Preston, you have to work hard. You can't just be a better player. You've got to be a
Footballing
harder
team.
worker, because that is what Heckingbottom's got Preston set up to play like, I'm afraid. They scored in Lewis Dobbins scored just before the break, and they got the second deep into injury time. By that stage, there was hardly anybody left in the stadium. People had left, and the people that were still there booed them off. But Will Still's comment afterwards, I think, about needing to work hard was a good point that those players should have taken on board. And then for the board to take him and sack him after that, I really worry about what goes through their minds, because he's obviously going to be a project manager. You know what I mean? He's going to be one of those players, one of those managers that he probably won't work out very well for the first few months, but once he's got the players working for him, it will.
Yeah.
And he will be a success somewhere else.
Yeah, you said a couple of weeks ago, didn't you, that it was a project. We touched on the Saints, they'd lost a game, and we were speaking about them, and you said, well, it's going to be a project because it's quite in-depth and complex what he's trying to do there, his style of play. And it definitely is, and I know none of us really know everything or even a lot about what goes on, but you can tell that he's very tactically shrewd and smart. So yeah, I completely agree. It's just absolute nonsense. They'll get somebody in maybe that has got championship experience, can get them up, but who's going to be a better long-term manager than Will Still? If he got you back into the Premier League, you maybe stay up in the championship this season, and the next season he gets you into the Premier League. The year after, you probably stay up like Sunderland are going to do, But you can get Russell Martin in, and he might get you up, but he'll just do exactly what he did to you last season. You'll go straight back down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Will Still's proven it in the French league, even though it's not a good quality league compared to the Premier League. It's still better than Championship level, isn't it? And he got Reims and RC Lens or something like that. Got both in the top half of the table. And it wouldn't have been. I say it so often about managers, but it doesn't happen in 5 minutes. Like, it's a working. Will Still with tactics. I mean, I've never played under him, obviously, but I can imagine his tactics would have been quite expansive. Do you know what I mean? So, I just think you made a really good point, Sterling, about how I think a lot of teams should stick with a manager for one season and then really go for it in the second, because you see with loads of teams, especially near the bottom of the pyramid, like the ones that we talk about in like the National League or League Two, for example, teams take a season where they stay in the division with a new manager and they learn from it. They make sure they're in the division for the next season and they build from it. And then the next season, they're pushing for promotion and they're really fighting for it. It's a completely different season to the first season. And I think that's what, in my opinion, Southampton should have done with Will Still, based off of how well he'd done in Europe previously at previous jobs. It was his first job in England, but I mean, it was a poor start, to be fair to Southampton fans. As you said, Simon, they're right to be frustrated winning 2 games in 13 matches as a relegated Premier League side. I mean, that is really poor, to be fair.
Very.
I think we all make a point that, they started off really badly, but I think it's just a process that would have worked next season. If they stayed in the division, which they 100% would have, that squad would have never gone down. If they had, then I would have been absolutely flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And next season, I think they would have got promoted. But the owners must have thought different, and they'll probably get Russell Martin back in, get promoted, and then get 2 points.
Yeah. And you can imagine that he would have gone playing some really nice football with that squad, because when they played Brighton in pre-season, they had some really nice.
Yeah.
They played some really nice football, and they had some really good players. So, yeah, it begs the question. And just what you touched on a little bit there about the owners, I think the point I was going to make is I think if you've got an owner who knows what he's doing, then they would give him an extra season. You look at what Uncle Tony, Mr. Bloom, is doing at Brighton. He could have got pissed off that Hertzler didn't get Europe last season and given him the sack. He could have sacked him after we got battered to Forest, but he didn't. And we're yet to see whether we can really push on. But my point is when you've got an owner that understands what a project is and understands how to build something, then it gives them the time of day. But we'll move on to a team we haven't talked about at all really in this podcast, Blackburn. 2 wins since the last episode. One last night versus Bristol City and the other on the weekend at Leicester. George, you wanted to speak about?
Yeah, it's a team that hasn't started off the season well, but 3 wins on the bounce is something that you've got to talk about, really, isn't it? Finding their rhythm in the league after such a tragic start. I mean, I've got it on my notes. They're 18th still, but they're usually top half of the table in the Championship regularly, even maybe getting in a playoff space now and then. So, it doesn't surprise me that they've got 3 wins on the bounce. And, I think that there's 3 really good results in there. Saints away, Saints and Leicester and Bristol City. 3 really good results against 3 established, 2 good Premier League sides recently, and then Bristol City, established Championship sides who got.
They're doing well this season, City as well.
So, I think it's 3 really good wins for them. Only conceded 1 goal in those 3 games, 2 clean sheets as well, and then 23-year-old Icelandic striker Gudhoysen with 3 goals in 3 games, a brace against Leicester City away. So very good from the youngster up top. So yeah, I think it's one to look out for because of how badly they've started the season, and it could be a factor if they could really change their season around after 3 wins on the bounce.
Yeah, well,
we know
Blackburn, of course, have been Premier League champions. I was reminded of that on Monday night when we went to the Kenny Dalglish documentary. He led them to the Premier League title. Big club down at that level. But as we said before, there's lots of big clubs down there. So it'd be interesting to see if they can maintain that sort of good run that one. But they are eye-catching results. You're right to pick it out.
Yeah, and we know how beneficial getting a run of wins and confidence and just getting into that flow state can be psychologically. When you're winning games, you're on top of the world. Everything's starting to click, and then you're like a steam train, just building up momentum and building up speed. So we'll have to keep an eye out on Blackburn. And I'm sure, as you say, that they're a massive club traditionally, so I'm sure they'll pick it back up. But we'll move on. We got some FA Cup action, and first round of the FA Cup, first round proper, and it didn't disappoint, did it, chaps? It really didn't. I know I speak for both of you. I absolutely love the FA Cup. It's just amazing, and some of these games are going to speak about were brilliant. One side that we're always talking about, it seems, are Boreham Wood, and you can't ignore them. You just can't. They went and beat Crawley 3-0 at home. Crawley in League Two, so 1 division above Boreham Wood now, and they absolutely battered them. Crawley got a red card in the 45th minute, so maybe some of their fans would argue that affected them, but they were already 2-0 down. And Boreham Wood took their chances nicely. Good finish, and then the second one was a penalty. But to be honest, Crawley did play into their hands. I mean, the defending was absolutely atrocious. The first goal, knocked upfield, lost the header, and just completely missed the header almost. It was like it just kind of hit him, and then it fell to their player, who then gave it away. And the defending from the centre half was atrocious. And then they went for a score, nicely taken finish, as I said. And then just giving away a penalty by crunching someone basically, and then 2-0 down. Second half, Boreham Wood, credit to them, they played brilliantly, absolutely battered them. Could have had probably 4 or 5 in all honesty, and it was a nice finish by Abdul Malik. I'm not going to butcher this one,
That was
but
good.
yeah, that was pretty decent, wasn't it? But yeah, unbelievable from Boreham Wood, and they played some nice football and ultimately got a massive win.
They're probably not that far apart in terms of league places, are they? Those two teams were probably about 5 or 6 places separating them. So it was a good win, but it goes back to what you were saying about if you got momentum behind you, and they definitely got that, and they do continue to surprise us. I think Boreham Wood, but a bit worrying for
Absolutely.
Crawley because they had started to put a couple of results together, but getting beaten like that, as you say, it wasn't a contest. And although they went down to 10 men, they were already 2 down at that stage. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as you say about momentum, Crawley definitely don't have that. I know they picked up a couple of results, but I don't think they've really gone on an extensive run of games. Even three wins in a row, like Blackburn, for example, I don't even think they've managed to muster up that. So, really concerning for them. Obviously, we've spoken about their league form, and now it's not going to do any good for the players. But yeah, I was really quite not happy, but impressed to see that from Boreham Wood, and they're a very interesting side. And that Abdul Malik's finish was beautiful. Just
Yeah.
whipped it into the bottom right corner to seal the win.
Yeah, he's a top player as well. He's been doing well in the National League, which I've noticed as well. So it doesn't surprise me that he's scoring against League Two opposition in the way that he did. I did see that goal. Absolute naughty finish that into the far corner. But Crawley just looks shocking. I mean, it's really surprising. They got Scott Lindsay back in, who got him promoted via the playoffs 2 seasons ago into League One. He left them in League One, went to MK Dons, went terrible there. Now he's back at Crawley, and you thought, same manager that got them into the playoffs, they should be all right, but it's gone absolutely terribly. I don't know what is going on there. Might be the differences in players that loads of them have gone since that season, and not many players in the squad suit the way that he wants to play. But I think they're in the relegation zone at the minute, in 23rd in League Two.
Yeah, they're struggling.
Really, really struggling. It's not good to see because they're local to us, and they ain't the National League side, really, are they? They're an EFL club, so
Yeah,
definitely not a team that we'd want to see down in the non-league pyramid. Even though it would probably be easier for us to get to, but in terms of maybe if a Worthing went up or a Dorking went up or an Eastbourne Borough out of the blue got out of the relegation zone and got up. But yeah, shocking from Crawley, and we hope it improves.
yeah. I mean, I don't know the last time they were in the out of the football league. Dad, would you know? I think all my life they've been a football league club.
yeah, but only recently. I don't think they were a football league club 20 years ago, so it is fairly recent. But yeah,
Yeah,
not
Not in my lifetime, they haven't been out of the non-league pyramid,
no.
out
yeah,
of the football pyramid. Sorry.
yeah. Moving on, something that's been doing the rounds on social media, and I'm sure newspapers, the news, it's been everywhere. Regan Linney back in a hat trick for Carlisle in a huge 3-2 win against Reading. I mean, that is just crazy scenes. He's a young lad as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
Correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
yeah.
yeah, he is.
I mean, the fact
That's
is,
why you love it.
when you look at games like this, you think, "Oh, I wish I was at that game," because it looked absolutely incredible. I mean, they were 2-0 down, deep into injury time. So, you got a long trip back to Carlisle. You're thinking, well, what's the point? And then he suddenly bangs a couple of goals, takes it to extra time, and then completes his hat trick sort of 4 minutes into extra time. It's just fantastic.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Reading. they're sort of middling in League One, but I think they've been on a decent run of form. But yeah, Mark Hughes has got them really ticking at Carlisle now, and that's just going to make their confidence go through the roof. That, as I say, that was one game I looked at and thought, oh, that would have been one to have been at, definitely.
It must have been absolute carnage in the away end. Can you imagine?
That Regan Lilly went on Match of the Day as well, and he proper bottled it. He was shitting it.
Oh yeah, I saw that. He said, "Yeah, I'm happy to get home with the 3 points." Oh no, I've absolutely had a howler there, haven't I?
Yeah, that was it. He had a stinker after having an absolute blinder of a performance.
That's all right. He done the job.
The FA Cup's all about though, games like that.
100%.
And stories
100%.
like that. And, you know, for the fact that it's a young lad that scored the hat-trick as well. But, you know, you got Carlisle, you know, talking about Crawley, you know, how long have they been a Football League club? Carlisle were a Football League club for a long, long time. And in the early 70s, they were in the old Division 1. Doing quite well there for a couple of seasons. So, you know, I think they'd do well in the league if they could get themselves out of that National Conference League.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing, as you said. That I was going to say the exact same things. That's why we love the FA Cup. And just to touch on it, because you probably find it interesting, the Reading goal scorer, well, one of them anyway, was Mark O'Mahony, on loan from Brighton. Yeah. And he got assisted by Kamari Doyle, who's also on loan from Brighton. So a little bit of a spark there for Reading. But yeah, we'll move on. Another absolute cracker. It's probably too hard to pick game of the weekend in the FA Cup, but a cracker that we were flicking in between. Well, we started watching this game, didn't we, Dad? Luton 4, Forest Green 3.
What a game.
Luton, yeah, what a game. Luton went 3-0 up, so we stuck the Coventry Wrexham game on, which we weren't too disheartened about because it was a good game. But then we put it back on and it was 3-0. So yeah, from 3-0 down to Forest Green to put it back to 3-0 was an amazing feat away from home to League One Luton, you know, 2 leagues above where they're playing at. So it was brilliant for them to even get back in the game, but they'll be gutted really because
that chance,
the goal, the chance at the end, but before we even get into that, the goals, it wasn't great defending for the first, was it, Dad? And then the second, the keeper spilled it, and you just said it was going to happen as well. Dad literally said to me before, he's like, this keeper's going to spill it. Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was his first game.
Yeah.
And he'd been all over the place with the first goal, and you could just see looking in his eyes that he'd lost it. And I just thought, because it was a free kick, wasn't it, or a corner or something like that.
It's a free kick, just shot.
I just said to you, he's not going to handle this properly. He's definitely going to.
He spilled it straight to Naki Wells, who just tapped it in. He's got the experience.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's the reason we turned it off, because their defending was so shocking. You couldn't see anything else other than Luton walking away with it 4 or 5-0. And it was, I was dumbfounded when we turned it back on, and we turned it back on just after Forest Green had muffed the chance to go 4-3 up, I think.
Yeah, well, originally we put it on. Did we see the penalty? I think we did. We put it on and they'd got a penalty to go 3-0. Yeah. I might be talking rubbish, but we definitely put it back on and it had gone 4-3 and we said, oh no, they bottled it. So yeah, they'll be gutted with that. And then we saw that chance. Oh no, we didn't even see the chance, but they said it was just like carnage when we turned it on because they were basically like, what the fuck's going on in commentary? Yeah. Because they build the chance at the end to then go for.
Had Robbie Savage curled up in a ball at the end. That chance.
Yeah. He was on the floor, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, wasn't he?
He was on the radio on Saturday night and he said that is the proudest moment of his football career. Player, coach, whatever. He said that's the proudest he's ever been. And there's a really remarkable stat that I was telling Sterling before the game. Those two, him and Jack Wilshere, obviously played hundreds of games of Premier League football and never played football against each other.
It's crazy.
It was a bit odd. But I can see that, it testament to the strength of non-league football that you've got teams like Carlisle going to Reading and winning, but you've got Forest Green, if they got the rub of the green, they could have really caused another upset there. And it is the magic of the FA Cup.
Yeah. And as well, it's a testament to Robbie Savage's man management that we're touching on again, that he's able to get him in at half time and rally him to go again in that game. It would have been easy for them to just throw the towel in, but he got them going, didn't let them quit.
Yeah. If we've got any people advising him, if I was advising him, I'd say go and spend 10 days with Robbie Savage, because you don't need someone to tell you how to set a team up tactically. You probably need a little bit in terms of man management. I thought when I've watched him in post-match and pre-match interviews, he seems a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but he struggles to make eye contact when he's talking to people. And I just think if you could go and learn a little bit from someone, that would be the person that I would pick to say, 10 days of Robbie Savage, see how he motivates players. Because you're not going to get Robbie Savage coming out after a game saying, we were the better team, but we didn't work as hard as the other team. His side would never say that, because he would never have players playing for him that would play like that. And I think that's where Will still needs to sort of go in terms of his development personally. I'm a huge admirer of Robbie Savage. Never have been in the past. And never have been, but I've just been so impressed by the way that he's taken to management and the results he's getting.
Yeah, he used to do my nut on commentary at TNT, to be fair. He used to do my head in, but I'm with you with that. He's
all commentators are like that, though, if you analyse it. I mean, Annie McCoy, you can almost script what he's going to say. It's just that he's such an affable chap that you sort of enjoy it. But yeah, I know what you mean about Robbie Savage. He did start to grate after a while.
Yeah. There were some more upsets as well, Gateshead away from home at Wimbledon. George, you were looking at that one.
Yeah, another National League side making an upset, but this side at this time against a really high-flying League One side in Wimbledon. I mean, what a result that is. I think the difference in this game was just Gateshead took their chances. They only had 5 shots and 3 of them were on target. And on the other hand, you had Wimbledon with 5, with 10, and they didn't score one of them. So it's a fact of taking your chances is so key. And it wasn't like Wimbledon went with their B squad as well. You look at some of the players that have played in the league with Bugle, Reeves, Lewis, Johnson, to name a few of the players listed in the team on Saturday that have started matches in League One consistently. But I saw it on Instagram. Looked like great away support from Gateshead after that would have been a really long journey up from Gateshead to Wimbledon, and really good result. Clean sheet against a League One side speaks words in itself. I think 2 leagues above them, and you keep a clean sheet against a side that's really high flying as well. It's not like they're a poor side like Crawley, for example, even though Boreham Wood had a really good result there. Gateshead have beaten a really good League One side at the minute, and I think it's credit to the manager there. I can't remember who it is at the minute, but just looked like a really well-rounded performance against a really good League One side.
Yeah, you said before, didn't you, Dad? It's just testament to the footballing pyramid, and really that's why we do this podcast, to showcase just how good the pyramid is, from the Premier League down to Isthmian Prem. These are National League sides getting results against League One calibre opposition, and that goes to show just how strong it is, and it highlights for people that don't know about these players and about these teams and managers just how brilliant they are. And we love stories like this. This is why you love football, and this is it's none of the bullshit commercialized, capitalized football. it's pure. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I just reflecting, listening to you talking, and I was going to touch briefly on another game that falls into the same category, really, with Barnsley beating York City. But York City took Barnsley right to the edge. Barnsley went 2-up. York came back, made it 2-all, and had their hearts broken in the last minute with Mark Roberts scoring a winner for Barnsley. But I think it should send a message to the FA, really, that if you're getting teams like this competing with teams 2 divisions above them, there's got to be a better way of getting them out of the National League than the one goes up and then another one comes up in the playoffs. Because there's at least, we've touched on 3 teams there. They would all grace the Football League, all of them. Carlisle, Forest Green, and
Boreham Wood.
York City, or Boreham Wood, yeah. Any of them.
Yeah.
They would all grace the Football League. And the fact that that's such a difficult division to get out of, they really need to have a rethink about it, because there's clubs in the Football League that probably don't deserve to be there, quite frankly.
Even look at Crawley at the moment. Do they deserve to be there?
Well, yeah, exactly. And then it's the only Football League at the minute in the top 4 leagues that has 2 relegation spots. The Premier's 3, and then there's 4 in the Championship and 4 in League One, and then there's just 2 in League Two. I mean, I just don't know why you wouldn't just make it 4, like League One and the Championship as well. I don't know why you just all of a sudden make it 2, because I think you make a really good point there, Simon, that especially teams like York and Carlisle are 2 really, really good teams, and Rochdale as well, not to mention them. They're 3 teams that are easily EFL sides, and it makes it so difficult because playoffs, anything can happen. We saw it last season with Boreham Wood, bottom of the playoff spots, and they won the playoffs after, there were teams that were literally 1 point of winning the title and lost the title, goal difference, etc., etc. And now they're still in the National League South, for example, and struggling to get out of there because there's only 1 promotion spot and then a playoff spot. So, it's difficult, and I do agree with you because you make a good point that the National League's such a competitive league now, and there's such good quality there that, I think it does deserve more teams to be going up, and it deserves, more teams to be going down from League Two to make it a lot more competitive.
Yeah, it is a great point, and I completely agree. If you get 3 promotion spots, then as you said about playoff drills, not always the best team from that season will get promoted. So it would provide a little bit more, I think, fairness in a way, and obviously whoever wins on the day, of course, fair and square. But throughout the whole season, York really deserved to go up last season from the National League. And it'd be really good. And just a caveat on another thing that it should show for the FA is that they've got to give more funding to the league, because you're having these amazing stories and these amazing games. Sorry, they got to give more funding to the pyramid, not the league. They're getting these amazing stories and these amazing games from non-league clubs playing the lower division clubs. They should be investing heavily on the football pyramid, so the non-league leagues, National League South, Isthmian Prem, even further down, and then more into League One, League Two as well. Not just focusing on the Premier League and the Championship. To me, this highlights, people love this. This has gone viral. Carlisle and the fella scoring that hat-trick for him. People love this. So why are you not contributing it? Because if they've not got the money to stay afloat, then you lose a Carlisle or you lose a Boreham Wood, and then you lose that game. You lose that magic story,
They have been reluctant in the past to make it more of a fluid promotion and relegation between Football League and non-league, because in the past there's been too many clubs that are not really financially viable that come up, and also there's been too many clubs that just don't have the required facilities. But now you can't say that, I don't think.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this constantly on the podcast about the quality of football down the pyramid. I think they need to wake up, the FA. They don't do enough for grassroots or non-league football, in my opinion. And we've talked about that in the past.
I think one option, I don't know if you agree, to sort of, show the effort that they can really compete is, I don't know if you've seen the Bundesliga do like a relegation playoff where one team in the league above gets a playoff spot. No, one team in the league above is in a relegation zone playoff, and then the team from the league below gets a chance to play against the team in the league above.
That would be absolute cinema.
That would be unbelievable. National League versus League Two.
That would be so good.
So good, and I think the National League team could smash them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I really would.
I think something they should put in, though, because that would make things so much more interesting. I can imagine German fans love to watch a relegation playoff because they see, what a relegation side looks like in a league above and how good a promotion side looks like in a league below. So for me, that would be a route to, even in League Two, make it 3 relegation spots permanently and then make the 4th one a relegation playoff, in my opinion.
And it would bring the attention to it even more.
Yeah, so. And it would give another chance of getting promoted for a team in the National League, and you could easily do it for the National League South and the National League as well, which could be an idea, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it's definitely something they need to implement after seeing so many non-league side beating Football League clubs at the minute.
Definitely. Well, we'll finish up. We've got a little bit to cover on National League South and Isthmian Prem for the teams that were knocked out of it. Talk about a few teams that we haven't spoken about. One being Chippenham, sit bottom of the table at the minute in National League South. I mean, they've only won one game all season in the league, so what do you think's going wrong there, George?
I mean, yeah, I don't know how we've not talked about them. I mean, we've spoke about Eastbourne Borough, how bad they've been, and Salisbury. But these lot have been even worse. They're bottom of the league. They've won one game all season, and that was on, I think I've got it here, haven't won a game since beating Worthing in late August. So that's right near the start of the season. And, that was Worthing with Chris Agotta as well, and he's somehow got to move to the league above, like we always say. But, it's another team that have gone under the radar and how poorly they've started. I mean, they're 5 points into the drop zone already. I mean, that's quite impressive in itself, isn't it? We've only just reached double figures in the league for how many games we've played, and already 5 points into the drop zone. But Chippenham, I think it'll be a tough one to see how they get on, because they don't really, apart from Sol Wanjo Smith, who does a bit of social media and he's quite well known for what he does on social media. I know him, he plays for Chippenham, and whenever you watch his videos, you just see him losing at the minute. It sort of gives you a tiny bit of a soft spot to see, him doing well individually and then Chippenham getting results as well. So I do hope they turn it around, but the way they're going, they haven't won in absolutely ages, and they've only won one game, and they've conceded 1.68 goals a match so far, so nearly 2 goals against conceded, so something's going massively wrong there, and you wouldn't be surprised to see another change in management at Chippenham soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for them to pull themselves out of the drop zone. I mean, 5 points adrift, so it's going to be immensely difficult for them. And yeah, before you said it, I was looking at your notes and thinking, yeah, that's the problem there. 1.68 goals a match so far conceded. pretty much 2 games.
Yeah.
It's no good. You're going to find it hard to win games at any level in with that record.
They got a decent result yesterday, drew with Salisbury, so
Yeah, I saw that. That was a decent point to be fair. But they should expect to beat them, though, because they're near them in the table at home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And
Should be a...
the next 3 fixtures are Maidstone and Eastbourne away, and then at home to Western. So they're going to be 3 really difficult games. So yeah, if I was in the manager's hotspot on at Chippenham, I'd be getting my CV ready.
No doubt, yeah. Wanted to touch on Salisbury as well, because I know we've not really spoken about them much. But to be honest, I say touch on Salisbury. It's mainly about Dorking because they lost 2-0 to them on Saturday. And yeah, Dorking's an interesting one. So Jose Marquez, he's a striker. Yeah, they've just brought him in from Forest Green. Actually, he was he's an academy boy there. Come up through the academy. I think he joined there when he was 15, maybe 13. I read earlier, and yeah, got his first pro contract in February of this year, and he's gone on a season-long loan to Dorking. So, saw Mark White was saying it gives Alfie Rutherford and Jason Pryor some bit of leeway and some respite if they need it, and just more cover in that striker position. And he got a goal in this game. He opened the scoring, and he actually scored last night as well in a 2-1 win at Enfield. So he's hit the ground running, and I think that's really shrewd business from Mark White and Dorking. You know, after a tough start, it puts them up to 5th now. I mean, George, you know a bit about him. What do you think about that signing?
It's really good signing because he was sitting on the bench at Forest Green, not few rare bench appearances, not even coming on to be honest. And Jose Marquez has been on the radar there for a long time, and I think he got a lot of interest when he got put on the loan list really from Forest Green from teams in this division. So I think Dorking did really well to snap him up, and I think he would have saw the project here at Dorking because at this minute in time, they're on a really good run of form. As you've just said, 2-0 away at Salisbury, and then a win last night at home to Enfield, I think it was. And
yeah, it was
really, really getting into the form that you'd expect them to be in. 5th place is sort of in and around the area that you would expect them to be in as well. So I think it's really good business from Mark White. I mean, Jason Pryor and Alfie Rutherford are really good strikers in this division, have been for years now, especially Rutherford, such a good player. And he had been in the National League when they were in that division. But Jose Marquez will definitely give them competition, both of them two, because they've been partners in crime for years now, seasons on end. And Mark White loves them both. He likes that sort of, small striker, not even small. Alfie Rutherford isn't really small, but sort of more agile, good on the ball. And then you got the fox in the box who can fucking header it in wherever, because Jason Pryor's an absolute beast in the box. That's why he gets so much time for Mark White, because he says it all the time on Bunch of Amateurs how good he is in the air, and that's the reason he plays him so much, because he plays a 3-5-2 and his wing backs just constantly whip balls into the box when they have the opportunity to get it into Jason Pryor, and that's how he scores loads of his goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that about how highly rated he is. So even more confirmation it's a really good signing. Dad, how highly do you rate Mark White? Because I was just thinking about what he said before. I heard him say that he would only manage Dorking for as long as he thinks he's the best man for the job. And when it wasn't going so well, I was thinking, I don't know what he's going to do here. But they seem to turned it around now, and they're really getting a good run of games. How much do you rate him as a manager and just as a businessman? Because you're saying he's making good business here.
Yeah, no, I'll take my hat off to him. I really do. I think he's a very astute gentleman. The trouble with Dorking is that who would take over there? I mean, What would he do? Go back to being chairman? I can't see that working.
No,
I was just doing a
it's
little bit
true.
of research on Salisbury actually while you were talking, and they might be one that we come back to because the chairman there, Ali Al Hamad, he's sort of got fingers in lots of pies, but cryptocurrency and blockchain being two of them. He became chairman because he was inspired by what had happened at Wrexham, and he's already trying to get some sort of film production company involved in making a documentary about Salisbury. So, be interesting to see what he does there.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you even see about Dorking. You know, they got a bunch of amateurs there, and that's got them so much publicity.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on to Hornchurch. Big win for them, Dad.
Yeah, I mean they just keep going from strength to strength. Really, it's they beat Torquay, another ex-football league club. They swapped penalties. Torquay scored the first one, and then Hornchurch got an equaliser, and then Angelo Balanta scored a great solo goal to seal victory for Hornchurch. They stay unbeaten. They're clear at the top. And that win actually was the first defeat that Torquay had suffered at home. So they really are setting their stall out, I think, Hornchurch. Very impressed by them at the moment.
Yeah.
Mental
Mental
surprise too.
100%. Massive surprise. And not a team we would have expected at the start of the season to do that well. One of our most viewed videos was our National League South predictions, and I can't remember any of us having them above higher up in the mid-table spots. Really,
Yeah, at the mid-table.
yeah, it's just massive surprise.
I think I had Torquay going up, and they've been struggling recently.
The fans haven't been happy with the manager because their away form's dreadful. I remember seeing on Twitter after they'd lost to Dorking, fans weren't happy with their manager. I don't know who it is, but yeah, Torquay should be doing better. We've all said that, but Angelo Balanta, I think I've said about him a few times when I've talked about Hornchurch. He's been unreal, and he's Colombian 36-year-old or something like that. So he's got bags of experience in this league and leagues above. So it doesn't. I mean, it kind of surprised me that he's doing that well, but just because of his age, it does put a factor into, he could be doing a little bit worse. But 36 years old and he's bagging in the goals. Unbelievable from him.
Absolutely. We'll finish up on Isthmian Prem. Another team that we've not spoken about. We're trying to highlight the teams that we've not spoken about this week because George, you made a note of who we hadn't, so appreciate that. Yeah, Cray Valley in Isthmian Prem. We've not really spoken about them. They're struggling down in 19th. 3 points off 18th, so they're in the relegation zone. 3 points off getting out. I predicted them to finish 8th, so I was really surprised actually.
Win the league.
Yeah, that's the running joke. Dad, you had them to win the league, and they might be going down, mate. So you've had a shocker there.
Season. Who wins that?
Yeah. But to be fair, they are doing a lot of DIY. Did some research, doing some DIY on the squad. Yeah, they're really trying to just find out the root cause of it. Getting players gone, getting players in. They've brought in a proven striker, Rowan Liberd, and they've also brought in Danny Waldron and Dan Bowery, who are returning, and they're experienced players. So you'd think that would be quite good with them being old players. They got a bit of familiarity with the club. You know, they can be key around the dressing room and kind of turn around form. So yeah, a weird one, and to be fair, pretty good result actually against Lewis. I know Lewis haven't been firing on all cylinders, but a good result. So maybe things are picking up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, they did really well last season in their first time back in the division last season, got in the playoffs. And I remember at the start of the season, Dan Barry actually came from Cray Valley, played for Mills. So I don't know about the other two players. I haven't heard of them, if I'm being honest. I don't know if either of them two were also at Cray Valley last season. So it could be the factor of the manager bringing back in old faces, because I know Dan Barry didn't really suit the way that Craig Nelson wanted to play at Lewis. So that's the reason which he left the club. So yeah, I think Cray definitely have the quality to get into the playoffs, because they have done literally last season. Got very unfortunate. I think it was against Dartford in the playoffs. Can't remember the score, but I think they definitely lost in the semi-finals. So yeah, Ibrahim, it can be. I think I've got that right. He's
Yeah.
the top goal scorer with 6. So really good from him. A lot of players that are, a lot of teams, that have lots of goal scorers spread about, if you get what I mean. But he's clearly ranking above the rest, which is good to see. You got a striker like Erling Haaland on 13, and then the rest of the squad on 1, and then you got a own goal top as your second top goal scorer. So yeah, Cray Valley team we haven't talked about, and I think they're underperforming. So hopefully the signings they've brung in, familiar faces, can bring them back up the table where they were last season.
Yeah, I think those, like you're saying, Sterling, they're just trying to get themselves going, aren't they? And down at this level of the pyramid, there's a lot of churn in terms of players, but all those 3 players that you've mentioned there, Libbard, Waldron and Bowery, they're all, seasoned, experienced players down at this level, so they should be able to turn things around.
Yeah, you best hope so. Otherwise you're getting annihilated come the end of the season.
You're getting like 18 points for that, because the worse you get it wrong, you want the least amount of points. Because
Is that how we're gonna
rules about how this works after the event?
making up rules. That's how it works, mate.
George, I didn't know about that.
That's how it
I would
works.
take it more seriously.
They've
We've
put hours,
make some content in the summer.
even more hours into it next year. Another team we've spoken about Aveley a little bit, but we've not been banging on about them too much. They started the season pretty poorly, but they've been on fire recently, haven't they, George?
Yeah, mental. I mean, there was a reason for us not to talk about the start of the season, but right now there's more than enough reason. 4 wins and 2 draws, but this since last episode they won 5-0 to Ramsgate, and then they won 4-1 away at Cray Valley Paper Mills. So 9 goals in 2 games. Unbelievable 2 results. And one man that's been on absolute fire, especially last night, he got a quadruple. Soliman Zudu with 4 goals against Cray Valley in 31 minutes as well. He got the hat trick as well. So what a performance from him to bring his tally up to 8 goals, I'm pretty sure. You've also got Ollie Peters on 6 goals and 4 goals for Chris Harris. So a massively high scoring team in this division, 2.2 goals a game so far. So love putting the ball in the back of the net, you can clearly see. And it's the first time they've got into the playoffs, 5th place now, and they're on an absolutely cracking run of form. And I think it's the fact of them showing some of their experience they had in the National League South for 2 seasons, and they're bringing it into the league below in the Isthmian Prem.
Yeah, massive moving into 5th. Really, really good turnaround. And you need goals at any level. And I said that before. You've got to put the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, they're absolutely doing that. So definitely good signs. And they'll just be hoping that it can continue on, because I think we all had them near the top. I actually might have it up here. Yeah, George, I had them 5th, sorry, and George, you had them down in 12th, which is quite interesting. I can't remember about Dad. Oh no, sorry, that was Dad's. Where did you have them, George? George, you had them 7th. So there you go. We'll have to wait and see. Dad's having stinkers.
He's thinking out of gaff, mate.
He's got nothing to say. Tell us about Wingate and Finchley, Dad, to finish it up.
Yeah, well, it just stood out to me because Brentford had been doing relatively well. I think they'd lost 1 game before that, going great guns at the top, and then to get blown away really by Wingate. They were 4-0 up by half time. spreading the goals around as well. So different goal scorers getting the goals. They just looked as if they were outclassed from the beginning of the match to the end of the match, and then they compounded things last night by getting beaten again. So
Yeah, they've been on a
Surprising one.
yeah, got beat
They've been
at
on a-
White Hawk last night. So
they've been on a poor run of form, Brentwood, haven't they? That game in itself, Wingate and Finchley were doing terribly at the start of the season. They were bottom of the league.
They're doing well now, though.
They're absolutely smashing it now. Ever since Gianluca Botti came in, the striker that used to play for Lewis, it seems they've been absolutely smashing it. Obviously, it would have just been him that's changed it around, but I think he's just, the way he plays as a striker would definitely help in maybe the way that the manager wants to play, which I think he can, because we've seen him at Lewis a few times. He's a top quality striker, proper striker's name, which we said last episode. Gianluca Botti. What a name.
Unreal.
Yeah, surprising one. I think it's another result from Brentwood. I think they lost to Canvey the other day as well, who hadn't won a game all season, and they lost to them. Wingate and Finchley are right down the bottom. They've lost to them. So I feels like Brighton seeing the Brentwood results at the minute, losing to the bottom and then beating the teams near them. So, yeah, it's a different form from Brentwood, but a really good result from Wingate and Finchley.
yeah, don't forget Wingate had that terrible start to the season with what happened against Chichester City. So
yeah, true.
I'm quite pleased to see him bounce back, and it did catch my eye as soon as I looked at the results. That one.
Yeah, good to see. And the Gianluca Botti fella actually got a goal in the game.
Did,
so, yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, we'll finish up there and we'll make sure that we definitely keep an eye out on the fixtures for the FA Cup. I don't know if they're out yet, are they?
Yeah, we did the draw yesterday, yeah.
They did the draw yesterday.
Monday,
well, maybe we'll touch on that next week. Talk about Boreham, Woodcote, Carlisle, etc. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to the next round of the FA Cup and next week's podcast. But for now, goodbye from me.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Later. Bye-bye.